sequel trilogy left a huge chasm in the fandom that many think to be irreparable. Is there truly no coming back from that to forge ahead together? What is needed to begin to force heal our community to move ahead with our differences and not despite them?
All right, and we're back. So what do you guys think? I mean, we can't not talk about it. There's a certain division in this fandom. A rather wide chasm in this fandom, right? In this fandom.
Begun the fan war has.
Yes, the fan war. Yes. I would agree with that. What are your guys' take on it? Because you all come from like different parts of this fandom, so I'd like to hear from you guys.
I want to hear X-Wing open his mouth.
So, look, the big thing, I think, and I'm not speaking for everyone, I'm just going to try to make a general statement here, and I think it may cover most of the bases. I feel like a lot of the original trilogy fans felt very disrespected in a certain way, which obviously they're entitled to that opinion. I certainly feel that way about certain aspects of the sequel trilogy, about a lot of the aspects of the sequel trilogy. And then I feel like a lot of new fans who they were trying to bring in are mad at the old fans because they're like, why aren't you happy with this amazing story that we got? And so they're never going to see common ground because of what Disney did. So that's just kind of that's where I'm at, is original trilogy fans and prequel fans feel very disrespected. New fans don't understand why these neckbeard basement crybabies are so upset, and it just keeps going like this. And so the question has always been, how do we move forward? And the answer is by moving forward. There's not going to be a beautiful mesh where we all come together and sing Kumbaya over the sequels. It's not going to happen. So the only thing we can do is just keep on trucking. Let's get past it. They can hold on to the sequels and enjoy them and love them, and original trilogy fans can find some way to move forward and try to heal the hurt that they're feeling, hopefully by a revitalized love and appreciation for the 40 some odd years of storytelling that came before Disney that was essentially kind of disregarded.
Yeah, I would agree with that. What is your take, Zach?
It's been a bit exhausting these last few years.
Makes us not want to stream.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
Just kidding.
I'm not kidding. No, I'm not
but I think to some degree, Star Wars has always been a bit contentious in the fandom. Like back when the prequels came out, the original fans didn't like it, and then people like us, well, not all of us, but people around my age who grew up with the prequels loved it. Like it was our Star Wars. Like Anakin Skywalker is kind of like our Luke Skywalker. And I think it's to a degree the same with the sequels. What really, I think, what you could also attribute it to is I think that the sequels didn't really have a cohesive vision. I think that was glaringly obvious, particularly with The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. The about face that the Rise of Skywalker did, I think, did a lot of damage to that trilogy, regardless of what happened in The Last Jedi. So I think it was definitely what X-Wing said, but also I think lack of overall vision that they could follow to completion.
Yeah.
Well put.
Very well put. What do you think, Vince?
Yeah, I think, both of these guys have said everything exactly what I think. But I mean, everyone has their own trilogy to fall back on if it's there for them. If they like the originals, you watch the originals. If you don't want to carry on, you stay in your lane. But,
I think that's one of the things, right, Vince? Like, people don't understand. It's like, we can't just erase the sequels. People, they march with their pitchforks down to Disney and go, erasure, right? And they want all of that taken away, but we can't just erase the sequels because we do have millions of fans, right? I mean, that's their Star Wars, right? Like what the prequels were to you guys, or like the originals were to me, that's their Star Wars. And I think there's a lack of respect on folks who are calling for, just put them into another universe or just erase them all together. I think there's also a lack of respect on that side. for the fact that these fans, this is, I think back to 9-year-old me going to see Return of the Jedi in a theater and being just absolutely enamored and falling in love with that movie and the two that came before. And I just think about like the 9-year-olds that fell in love with Rey or fell in love with Rose. Or
those aren't the ones arguing with me on the internet, though.
That's true.
Here's what I would say.
That is true.
The only counter argument I have to that is there's another side of disrespect that
yes, absolutely.
I've certainly felt as well. That it's like, if you don't like it, then just stop watching.
Right.
And it's like, how are you going to tell me to stop watching Star Wars? I've been here forever, man. You just walked in the door. Don't tell me to stop watching Star Wars.
Right.
So yeah, there's a massive lack of respect on both sides. Between both.
And I think
our side is right, but I mean, it's.
I mean, that's the problem with surrounding yourself with an echo chamber of everyone that agrees, right? I always say that with Zach, like whenever we do it with Zach and Kat, and we all agree with each other, and there's no back and forth. And I'm always like, man, I feel like I need someone to like diversify my opinion, right? Because it's like we're just repeating, we're just agreeing with everyone, and we're repeating the same thing we're saying. It's like, I don't know. It's like, what's the other side again? I forgot what it was.
I forgot what it is. Yeah, no, and I mean that's why X-Wing's here.
Yep, I know. I'm the bottom of the barrel. I understand.
No, you're not.
I was saying we all agree with each other here. That was what I was saying.
Okay,
yeah. No, I was saying,
Star Wars is so popular. It's always going to happen. You're always going to have conflicts. It doesn't matter what you do. There's going to be conflicts within the fandom.
It is the largest franchise in the world by a lot. I mean, Marvel wishes. Okay.
Yeah.
By like a lot. And so I think just based on that, I mean, there's going to be conflict, right? But I think one of the things that's really beautiful about us is like, and I'll put this to X-Wing too, because I had this thought earlier. I was like, when we came together and we were doing our rehearsals for the movie and we were doing the recording, so I'll speak to Tyler and X-Wing here. We had such joy doing those. There was like a sense of being like excited to be involved in Star Wars and to be part of Star Wars in some way, right? Like we were all so happy. Yet every single cast member was from like totally different spectrums of this franchise. Like there was people who were like absolute love Rey, like Rey is their favorite character. There's people who are like, nope. Bury her. I just so there was like all these differences in these groups and in these teams we were doing, but it didn't matter because we came out of it with such a sense of joy, right?
Yeah.
It was
do you remember that when we were going over the dialogue, there was one particular bit of dialogue that you and I were milling over, and it was Rey and Finn talking.
Yes.
And as soon as the dialogue was over, I turned to you and I'm like, so this is writing Star Wars. Like, this is what it's supposed to sound like. And it was kind of it was a little bit of a come to Jesus moment for me, because I wasn't mad about who was talking. I just enjoyed the dialogue. I'm like, okay, this is good writing. Like, I'm enjoying this. I don't care that it was Rey and Finn. And that's the big hump I had to get over. The pill I had to swallow was like, this is Rey and Finn, but this is actually good.
Right.
Yeah, this is actually good.
Yes.
I will say our Finn and Rey voice actors are really good, though.
Oh my
God.
it
does feel like
Madeline
Norton, guys.
Gem.
I mean, Madeline Norton is just
she's good at what she does.
I feel completely different about Rey now, and I feel like it probably is because I've seen the script. I know where the story goes, and it has blurred the lines. Like.
And you get
to
I really was not a fan of Rey. I was not a fan of Rey at all, and the script is definitely it's changed my opinion 100%.
I know. I remember X-Wing telling me, he's like, I hate you, and I was like, why? He was like,
I like Rey.
Yes, and he was like, I think Maddie made me like Rey.
Yep. That is the tallest order in all of Star Wars. So you tell Maddie exactly what happened, because that's
Maria has put together the Avengers of voice actors for this project.
Oh, for sure.
I agree.
Sure.
And some of them are brand new. I mean, X-Wing's never done a voiceover, like not
I'm the
this
Hawkeye
scale.
of the Avengers. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said hot guy.
Well, that's
Well, I mean, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
you want to say.
yeah.
That as
Okay,
well.
dude.
That as well.
That too. Absolutely.
That is ridiculous, though. I genuinely thought X-Wing was a pro.
I know. Me
Blew
too.
my mind. Yeah, for
Yep,
sure.
blew
That's
my
crazy.
mind. I mean, in the
crazy.
audition, like, I just want to tell you guys that X-Wing auditioned opposite a very talented, like,
Oh my god, that guy
proper
was so scary.
theater actor, and won the role over him because he did so good.
Wow.
Yeah.
This was like Christopher Lee's brother.
It's
It
like
was
an act
like
Yeah.
it was incredible. It was incredible. I'm not like tooting my own horn. I'm saying that guy was incredible.
Mate, yeah, but that just says.
I
everything
blame
about you.
nepotism.
I blame
That's
that.
what it was. She likes mustaches. He didn't have one. I got the role. You know.
You know, and
He
I
was
just
actually better for it, but whatever.
thanks, Alex. Jeez.
I wouldn't disagree.
I'm just kidding.
man.
I didn't even hear him. I'm just kidding.
He's really
And so I have to say, you know, we do have some young talent. We have some very like amazing talent. People who have been on Broadway, like our X-Wing pilot, our favorite X-Wing pilot, you know, has had a run on Broadway. You know, and he's playing Wedge Antilles, and he's you know, and his lovely wife Nora Wexley, also a stage actress, bona fide stage actress. So I love that. And then, you know, Poe Dameron being played by, right? Am I right about that one, guys? Like
So good.
Poe
Oh,
Dameron
Mhm.
and Zori Bliss, their chemistry together is outstanding. I
Nobody
love it.
misses in this cast. It's
No.
incredible. When you go
That's
back and
right.
you listen to some of these clips, it's like, dang, dude. Like
There's
I don't
no-
know how you
no
pulled
weakling.
these people, but geez,
I know.
they're
Our-
so good.
And just to talk about it, because we've been talking about you know, the expanded universe. You know, we have Darth Talon
Yeah.
coming in.
Yeah,
and,
so excited.
so excited. And with her comes Darth Malati. And you know,
Disney-fied.
yeah, and not Disney-fied by far.
All you talent fans in the chat, calm down. Sit back down.
Sit down.
There's
And
a very adult Darth Talon in this.
Very adult Darth Talon. You know, and being able to pull from the EU, like, bro, how you gonna tell me that there was no source material? That was a travesty to me. I can't get over. I just can't. I literally, my jaw dropped. I was like, you know, I
Yeah.
could not get that through my head. It was just a horrible thing to say. And what
to
an
your
insult.
credit, if there was any villain that was going to make sense to return, if there was any villain that was capable of hiding in the timeline and not being seen by anybody and making a return, it was always going to be Vitiate.
I mean,
Always.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he invented essence transfer.
Yeah.
He literally invented essence transfer. Like,
But
how
as
you
we
gonna-
all know, somehow Palpatine returned.
right? Like, why Palpatine and why, like, you know, diminish? I mean, I want to say he diminishes, his return diminishes Anakin's sacrifice. Absolutely to me. Okay?
Exactly.
They had
And,
nowhere left. They had nowhere else to go.
There's nowhere else to go, right? And
They had to do something.
yeah, well, that's all at Ryan Johnson's feet, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, he basically created his movie as the end cap of this thing, and it was a middle movie. Like, what?
Yeah.
It was a finale.
How does that make sense? You know, you kill off. And I happen to think, you know, I mean, I don't know if people agree with me with The Force Awakens, but I thought Snoke was mysterious enough. Kind of like, you were like, who is this guy?
Dude,
I was
Snoke,
kind
the
of-
Snoke theories with
Right?
Plagueis and everything that was going, I was so hyped, dude.
1,000%,
talking about
right?
Force
I wanted to know who
Yes.
it was so friggin' bad.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you were
Yeah.
just like, okay, so I'm intrigued with this guy, and then Ryan just fucking
Your
kills him.
Snoke
I'm like,
theory
what-
sucks or whatever. he
Language.
said.
Yeah.
you know? I mean, I was so upset. I was like, are you serious right now? Like, we didn't even get to know this guy.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, there was so much that was set up in Force Awakens. This is why I think Force Awakens, for me, I still give it an 8.5. out of 10. I know that's going to
I
shock
love
some people.
Force Awakens.
But to be honest with you, I think The Force Awakens set up some really good things. I mean, if you think about, and I know people are going to say, oh, well, you know, JJ put Luke on an island. But if you think about how
That could have been so cool.
It was still
It
cool.
could have been
cool.
Force
because
Awakens was still cool.
the way he left him, when we see Rey go up the mountain, right, at Act 2, and you see Luke Skywalker in full Jedi robes, bro. Like completely dressed up. He knew she was coming. And and to me, JJ set up for him to join the fight. That's what it absolutely looked like to me.
100%.
I love the idea that you could have played off, and I won't go too deep into this, but I love the idea that you could play off that Luke is essentially the most OP Jedi in the galaxy. Like, this dude is such a force for good that evil always rises to meet the good. And so as long as he's prominent in the galaxy, something else will come to tear it all down. And so he's like, all right, I'm out. I'm just going to go to an island. I'm going to hang out. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to, because as soon as I come back into the light, something is going to come. Something will come.
And we can always
And then
say,
Rey goes, something's already here. And he's like, damn, all right, I got to get back in.
I got to get it back in, right? So he's
Like, I'm retired.
He's dressed in full Jedi robes, bro. And then right after, what does he do in the opening of 8? Tosses the lightsaber, and then Ryan Johnson makes a particular point to record him putting away his Jedi robes. What?
Yeah.
What?
My jaw hit the floor when I saw him just go, nah.
Yeah, that was not a happy moment for me.
That was
in
not-
Star
We
Wars.
just looked at you
Yeah.
like, did that just happen?
Yeah.
Like we were
Yeah.
we were expecting him to just go.
I think that might be the single most damaging moment in all of
Absolutely.
Star Wars.
I-
It was the first time I felt like visceral dislike, and it was
yeah.
so confusing for me. I was like,
and it
what
was
was
the
that
opening
feeling?
scene
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
8,
Dude,
right?
Dude, premiere night, I remember just like it happened, and like there was like 2 giggles in the very top, and it was just silent. They're just like, what just happened? Like,
Yeah.
it was like everyone was in shock. And then
Just
they were just in
awkward.
shock for the rest of the 2 hours and 30 minutes.
We were still thinking about the lightsaber throw. Like, Snoke's dead, lying on the floor, ships are blown up.
Did he
Everybody's like, did
really
he actually
just-
really throw that lightsaber?
Yes! I swear to God, that was my thought exactly, right? And then,
Snoke is dead, but he threw the lightsaber. What the fuck? Yeah.
right.
Yeah, what is
and
this?
then how do you have JJ who writes Finn, bro, a stormtrooper that defects. Like, that is an amazing story.
Yeah, that's the biggest
Possibly
crime.
force sensitive.
Yeah.
Love
Right.
Force Awakens Finn.
Yeah.
And you market that as, like, on all the posters and all this, except for China.
Not in China.
Not in
Not in China, not happening, not today, not this time.
I love
The Force
Tyler
says
does that.
sit down.
That is amazing. Right? And then you just, like, send him off in a wild chase. 23 minutes was spent on Canto Bight, bro. 23 minutes that I will never get back. Like, I'm just gonna say that, right? 23 minutes. I get so heated. I really do get heated about The Last Jedi.
Oh, Maria, but I guess it was worth it.
No. Because it absolutely did nothing. There was nothing. Like, Leia was just like, hey, I have a secret location on Crate.
And that's why it's tough for me to appreciate The Force Awakens now as well, because of
Yes,
those 2
it
films. I
tainted
really
it.
struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I struggle to think back to how I was feeling after that first film, because
Yeah.
I was definitely excited to see where
I
it
was
went.
so hype after Force
Yeah,
Awakens.
yeah.
I
dude.
really was
so
too. I mean,
excited.
a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's just a rehash of A New Hope," but you know what? I didn't mind
it
it,
was fine.
and I thought
That's
a
where
good
my
rehash.
mind was. That's
Yes.
where my mind was. It was like, yes, it was a rehash. It was a new hope for a new generation, but they set up some cool stuff.
some cool
Yeah.
shit.
They did it.
I'm like,
They
make-
couldn't have done it better, in my opinion.
right. I did feel like Rey was like, "Girl, you never been on a starship, and you could pilot the Falcon like Han Solo. Come on now."
Yeah, well, there's some of that, but that's Disney.
Yeah,
I think that was to be expected at that point.
We try to ignore that.
We try to ignore that, but you know what? I mean, there were problems, but I thought in 2015 when we saw The Force Awakens, we were like, "Yes, Star Wars is back, baby!" And
Yeah.
then we get Rogue One, and we're like,
I was in such a good place, man.
Dude, I
Rogue
didn't
One
even
was
expect to like
2016.
it. I didn't even expect to like it. I was like, I'm just gonna go because it's Star Wars, and I'm like, dude, that was what the fuck. Like, I'm gonna go back over and over
Can we
again.
please go back? Right? Yes. I mean,
Rogue One was Cloud 9.
yes. Yes.
That was the first time I went back to the cinema to watch it again.
Yes.
Just for that last
Yes.
30 minutes, I had to see it again.
I saw Rogue One, I think, 5 times in theater. It was so good.
I was traumatized from that hallway scene.
Yeah.
Like anyone else?
Oh, it's so
yes,
good.
in a good way.
Yeah, probably
I
my
couldn't
favourite
close
scene.
my mouth. I was just.
What
Amazing.
am I watching? This is great. Yeah. No, I really
It was
love
good.
that. Yeah.
I thought it was really good, and I thought, you know, the most important thing when you're telling those stories is to pay homage to what came before, and they did such a good job of basically like shoehorning it into a way where it makes sense that when you fire up A New Hope, well, that's the best thing is you can watch Rogue One, and then immediately it's like time to watch A New Hope.
Yeah.
Like right
Yeah.
after that, you pop it in, and you're like continuing the story. It's incredible.
Yep, absolutely. And I
And that
just
one still gets hate. I don't get
and
that.
8 and 9 just tainted 7 for everybody. So like people who
Yeah.
even liked 7 and they were like, yes, we love 7. They're like,
What's
That
because
8 and
JJ
9,
retconned everything that he did.
yeah. Vince was just saying, yep, yes, yeah, absolutely.
Big time. Yeah.
But I
because
think-
you can't even enjoy it anymore because you know what comes after.
Right. And I think that's the big deal. I think that's the thing, right? So I feel like if Disney really wants to try to like unify this fandom and like really pull us all together, we have to move forward in this time. Like none of us are ever going to agree about the sequels, okay? And no, there's people who still hate the prequels, okay? Nobody's going to
There
ever
is, yeah.
right? And nobody's ever
Leave my
going to
clones
agree,
alone.
okay? About the prequels, right? And there's just, I mean, generally, I would say most people love the original trilogy. I've never met a fan that goes, "Oh, I love the prequels, but that original trilogy was trash."
It's because there aren't fans who don't like the original trilogy.
Exactly,
You're not
right?
a fan of Star Wars
You're
if you
not
don't
a
like
fan.
it.
I feel like even if you're not, you have to say you are. That's just you know.
Even if
think-
it's trash. Yeah,
I think
yeah.
there are a lot of new fans who don't like them because they're too
Yeah.
boring or slow or whatever. Or the effects look too bad.
Yeah,
which
well,
is
they're not-
sacrilege.
they're not
Yeah,
aged.
It's 1977.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it
It's
was
not
funny.
aged well,
That was
whatever.
revolutionary in that day. Like George
It was.
Lucas just revolutionized everything. Every time he touched a Star Wars film, he revolutionized something. And in that day, there was nothing like it. Just like the Phantom Menace, just like at the Revenge of the Sith, right? And then, unfortunately, with I will say this with the sequels, there was nothing new, right? Like, it was kind of just more of the same, sci-fi blockbuster
It was
stuff.
flashier.
Yeah,
That's it.
it was. Well, the sabers look great, but
Yeah.
it didn't revolutionize the
Yeah, at
industry.
least they got the
right?
sabers right in the sequels. They have
They
done. I don't know what has
Except
happened
for
with Disney
Kylo
Plus and the
Ren's,
sabers,
right?
but
Yeah,
yeah, no, the crossguard saber will
Yeah.
still forever be sacrilege to me.
I love the crossguard. I do.
Can't do it.
It goes back to old times. So for me, it's it's part of the old Republic. So I'm very cool with it. But for some people, they just associate that crossguard with the sequels. I think that's
Or
what
the
it
High
is.
Republic. I mean, I think they made it worse for me personally with
yeah.
the High Republic.
I just think practically it doesn't make a lot of sense because if you just drag your blade straight down,
You're gonna cut right
it's
through
gonna
that
break.
emitter.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yep.
gonna cut through easily. Like, you
Logically,
can't
it
really.
makes no sense.
Yeah, you can't really use the crossguard.
Star
we did
Wars
see it
never
for a
really had a
split
lot of
second in
logic.
Rebels.
They're like a bunch of crusaders. They're the Knights Templar. That's the only historical reference I could have grabbed. I was like, okay, cool, whatever.
Was it not made with material that stops you from cutting fruit? I thought that was.
I
the point.
suppose if his saber was made out of Beskar, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Ah, fair.
So, and I think that the thing about it is that all these differences and things like that, like I feel like people are so afraid to talk about, like
Not
we've
me.
gotten to, well, no, not you. But like it's become almost taboo to talk about what you really feel about something, right? Because I feel like the discussion that we just had, that's very normal and very cool, and some people like some things and some people don't like things. But why is it that we can't get our fans to talk in this way, respectfully and like
People get way too offended.
I will say, aside from the fact of like actually feeling like something, I feel like there's a lot of, I don't know, charlatans out there masquerading with outrage marketing just for headlines, just for getting people to talk about something, getting views,
Both
right?
sides.
There is both sides
Yeah.
that happens, right?
Yeah.
It's just the nature of things. It's just the nature of YouTube. It's the nature of the algorithm. People are more interested in people being mad than they are than people being happy. It's just what happens. Like,
yeah.
things go viral, discussions happen, people get mad at each other, drama starts, people follow drama. It's just the nature of things, right? So
Well, we're bored, Alex. Like, if we weren't bored, this wouldn't be happening. So put out good content so we're not bored.
Good content, so we're not bored. Yeah, no,
Fair.
I totally agree with that, but I also feel like it's just the age, right? Like, imagine if we had social media during the prequels.
yeah.
Oh yeah, God.
Oh, I
yeah.
would have been a warrior.
Yeah.
Right?
Vince would
You
have
would've-
been
just
cursing in
tweet.
the comment
Bro,
sections
you
all day.
would have been
100%.
what the sequel warriors are today. That
Yeah.
would have
Oh,
been
yeah.
X-Wing
I'm still a prequel defender to this day.
to this day. Matt Rissman isn't here, but
I have that conversation every week.
every week. No joke. But I think that there's something to say about this group and this team, which we have over 40 people. We're about to add more because I'm expanding Hot Shots and that team, right? So there's something to say about all of us who have very different opinions on things coming together, being able to talk like this, which is great, right? But also being able to create something together. It's very different to me, and I'm going to say this, but I mean no disrespect to anybody, but it's very different to react to someone else's creations than it is to actually create your own. I think it's like, that's the piece, like every single one of us is really putting our money where our mouths is and doing this project, because we are putting our time, we're putting our dedication, we're putting our study, we're putting our research, we're putting all of these things into it. And I feel like there's something to be said about doing that, right?
It's been extremely damaging for my brand. Extremely damaging. I don't know if I'm going to recover
Tyler,
financially.
There's no way we're gonna come back from this
There we
at
go.
this
There we
point.
go.
We're
Yeah,
not
better.
coming back like Palpatine
Much
somehow
better.
came back, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my god, I feel like we should do something funny. We should do some
Oh,
funny-
we should definitely do
we should
something
do like
there.
yeah.
We need a skit. We need a skit.
We're building a Death Star. It's gonna be
Yes.
great. We're gonna make the
Yes.
rebels pay for it.
Yes. And Thomas, absolutely. I mean, Poe Dameron.
Oh my god.
Poe Dameron has a story. I don't know if you have read this, Thomas, but Poe Dameron has a story called Poe Dameron Freefall, which is a novel, and it's amazing. And it details the story of his parents and him losing his mother, and then actually, which we get to do that here, is his love affair. He had an entire love affair with Zori Bliss, and their adventures together as teenage lovers and young adult lovers, because they were together for a while. And so that whole novel was out there, and I'm like, why couldn't you have given me 23 minutes of that instead of Canto Bite chase scene? Like,
Yeah.
like what the heck?
Or like the kind of I mean, this would have been a little bit earlier, I suppose, but the one book that got really close for me was Bloodlines.
I love that book.
Yeah, that got really close for me for being like an amazing story, and something I think they should have absolutely worked into the sequels. Something they underutilized was everybody finding out that, whoa, hold on. I'm sorry, my mic just doubled up. How did that happen? Everybody finding out that Leia was Darth Vader's daughter.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why Ben started to like distrust his family. That
Yeah.
caused him to like be like, you didn't tell me this. Like they kept that secret from him.
Yeah.
And he was like, you didn't tell me this. All this time I've been struggling. This would have helped me. Like, why would you keep that from me? And that was a big point of his turning, of why, he just started to distrust it, his family. That was a big turning point for him.
See, I'm trying, Maria, okay?
I know.
I'm at least ingesting the content and then talking bad about it instead of just saying it's bad without ever reading it.
I love
But-
that. King's Advisor has a question for us.
I was
For all of
about
us.
to say
Let's
he
talk
got a
about
good
that.
one.
Yeah.
Yes. What did it mean to you to be able to be part of Star Wars like this? We'll start with. I'll start with Zach, because you know what? He's new, so he probably has a very new, fresh perspective on it.
Well, I mean, it's always been a dream of mine to work in at Star Wars, to work on Star Wars rather. It's I don't like it's hard to put into words because it's something that you never really think is attainable. Like you're watching it on the big screen, and then being able to actually do it, to play around in this giant, massive, beautiful sandbox that you've only ever observed. It's kind of surreal, honestly. I don't know if anybody else feels that way. Like it.
Oh yeah.
It's wild. Like it almost feels like it's literally like you're in a dream or something. Like that's how I would describe it. It's probably the highest honor there ever is, as in terms of like creating anything for me.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I think I want to ask Vince, because you know what, Vince, I think you have a really unique take on this. Just because, you know, we've had several conversations about what this means to you personally as your career path and choice has evolved.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I have the easy task of following John Williams. So.
Yeah, good luck.
No pressure.
No pressure.
But yeah, no.
Who's
like,
that?
Alex, get out of here.
You better get it right, or it's over for you. It's over.
But yeah, me and you have talked about this, Maria, and like I've been doing trailer music for so long, and it's just such a different style of music, and just getting a chance to write music like this. I never thought I would ever get a chance to write music like this because it's just a completely different skill. It's back to basics. It's old school, original, orchestral music, and it's like challenging as trailer music is. It's nothing like this, and yeah, it's made me want to continue pursuing composing. I've been doing a lot of my own music for a while now, a couple years, writing my own tracks, like mainly directed at trailer music, but a few other things as well. But it's made me want to definitely pursue the composing thing.
Filmmaking, yeah.
Yeah, I've just had such a great time. It's been a year now, and it's been unreal. It's been the highlight of my weeks, just having how many hours to do this.
You put some bangers out, buddy.
You do. You are. I've always said that
And you do
Star
it fast.
Wars, right? Star Wars is 50% visual and 50% auditory.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Oh, for sure, yeah. There's a video one. Have you not seen the video on YouTube where it's the scene from E.T. and it's the scene where he's leaving and he gets in his. Look it up after this. It's amazing. They take out John Williams' music from that scene, and it's insane. They've left in the Foley as well, so it's really awkward.
Like with the throne room too.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Yes.
They did
There's
a New
a-
Hope.
There wasn't there a scene where actually the X-wings were taking. I think there was a formation of the X-wings taking off, and John is talking, and George says it doesn't matter. They're not going to be watching anyways. They're just going to be
Listening to the
Listening.
music. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, X-Wing? Because you are kind of new to this field of work.
Yeah, I mean, this is even if this whole thing happened and 4 people watched it, it doesn't matter because you get to jump in, you get to play, you get to, completely revert back to your childhood and just. I've always been the Jedi guy. I like the Jedi. I like the light side. That's always been my team. And you're like, by the way, you're going to be the biggest D-head in the galaxy right now. Can you work that out? And it feels natural for some reason. I love it.
So well. It's so
I love it. You just get to dig. You get to tap into this insanely maniacal, sadistic, just absolute jerkbag of a person.
Yeah. And I mean, how crazy was it to be able to sit and write and work together and have our quote unquote workshop over our upcoming Legacy trailer?
And that has honestly been the coolest part is that I'm not just reading something off of a piece of paper. It's that we got to spend the time together and would he say, yeah, well, this doesn't really make sense. Oh yeah, well it does here and we should move this. I have an idea. Let's workshop something really important from the dark side into this portion of the script. And then being able to sit in and see the caliber of artists that you have working on this project.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if you remember, I think I was in that Wizards meeting and I'm watching him just.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
AJ. Our character artist. Our character artist. He is
I was in
fantastic.
awe. He created an hour's worth of content in 5 minutes. It was
I know.
how do you?
The guy's
do that?
nuts, dude. The guy's
Yeah,
nuts. He's awesome.
it was
He's really
insane. It was
really,
insane.
really
So the
awesome.
biggest thing for me has been being able to see the caliber of people that you have on this project. It feels like Hollywood. Like, these people are incredibly talented. What they're able to do, everything that they're bringing to the project, I just feel blessed that I get to be a small part of it.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Avengers
And
Assemble.
what about for you, Tyler?
To say it's like a dream would be an understatement of the millennia. So, because, my whole childhood, as soon as, I got the figures, Dad gave me his figures from his childhood, and I'm getting the new ones that are coming out, the clone troopers, the battle droids. And, as I'm playing with them, I'm not just, talking like me. I'm doing the voices the whole time. I'm doing Anakin, Obi-Wan, clone troopers, battle droids, Grievous, Dooku, Darth Vader. I'm doing all of them. And as, I got older, I just got better and better. And it wasn't until my senior year of high school where I put 2 and 2 together. I'm like, I could do something with this. And I dropped that first video, and now several years later, I get a random email from someone named Maria. And I'm like, oh, okay, so another fan film. All right, this will be cool. And then she goes into more detail as to what this colossal project is all about. And like, the more I read and the more I learned, the further my jaw was going down to the floor. And just the fact that I'm here still just...
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone else? Alex, do you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, the save the worst for last. Really, honestly, Mary, for everyone who doesn't know, everyone here already knows this, but everyone in chat, if you ever want to get in the industry, you want to find someone like Maria, because I've had so many different bosses on different films. I've worked on so many different projects for a variety of different things in the industry, commercial, films, whatever. No one's like her in regards to how much she regards her team. So kudos to you, Maria. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Like, you have no idea. And then aside from just the fact that it's Star Wars, honestly, the entire notion that everyone in here I've known for years, aside from you, of course, Maria, but I'm sure we'll have a long friendship. I've worked with all of you at some point, right? And continue to work with all of you. And it's just like, it's not only working with strangers, but it's working with Star Wars fans and friends, and then building more friendships with the cast and everything. It's a really fun environment, and it really is a dream environment for anyone trying to get into the industry. Like, Maria really created something that is so unique and so different from anything out there, really. So for everyone who isn't in the industry and kind of jumping in here, it's something special.
So I'm spoiled rotten. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
looks like you got me for life, Maria.
Yeah, that's it. That's the goal, right? That's the goal. And Tom Jr., one of our wonderful moderators, Tom Jr. Jackson, he has a question for me. He's like, what is it like to bring someone in to do original music for this film you have thought about making from beginning to end? How long is the process? Beginning to end, how long with the whole process of the film is going to take, I'm assuming. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm going to say Alex. I'm going to say kudos to Alex, because Alex was the one who brought me Vince Cox. And I do not take that for granted, because Vince is an absolute genius. Like, mark my words, he's going to look back and go, oh, yeah, that little fan project film.
You remember back in 2023?
I remember.
Yeah.
Remember when I messaged you, Vince, in that one video?
As he's sitting and he's got like,
I
30
did.
Grammys behind him, Yeah, that's
You
gonna
remember
be
from
Vince.
earlier?
Yeah, that's gonna be Vince Cox. I'm not even gonna lie about that. That he is brilliant. And I think one of the things that was really important for me, and X can speak to this, is I really wanted the cast to have a say in the music. And so what I
Who does that?
Who does that? No one. Right? And
No one does that, X-Wing. No one.
Yeah.
No one. Yeah, not in filmmaking, not in video gaming, none of it. And so, for me, it's Vince and I go, okay, I have this idea for the soundtrack. Now, filmmaking music is very different. You have an original soundtrack, and then you have your film score. And the two, long time ago, they used to release them as separate CDs. You'd have the OST, and then you'd have the original film score, and they were different. And so it's creating this crazy duality. And so I go to Vince and I say, okay, so I have this idea for Emperor Vitiate, and I really want, I have this theme, Dominion overall, right? Because Vitiate does see himself as a god. And why shouldn't he? I mean, think about the guy, honestly, Palpatine needed an entire fleet of planet killers, and Vitiate is a planet killer. Just himself. Okay?
Not overpowered at all.
Not overpowered. You think Star Killer's overpowered? Mm-mm.
You think Rey's overpowered?
Right? And so I said, okay.
That's cute.
So
Let me tell you a little something.
Yeah, so I have this grandiose idea, Vince. He is powerful and he knows his shit don't stink. And, he thinks of himself as a god, but he has this one weakness, right? This one very, very sexy little weakness. And her name was Senya Terrell. And that's the only glimmer that you could ever see of Vitiate as a human. And so he takes that and he says, okay, and I say, listen, come up with some sample music, which is usually like a piano or just a single instrument kind of sample.
He composed 4 different pieces.
Yes. He did. And so I said, he's like, okay, come up with some samples. And then we take the samples, the ones, we go back and forth on them. And then we take the samples and we go to the cast. And with X-Wing, we went to him and we said, listen to these four samples that we have for Vitiate. He is the one embodying Vitiate through his voice. So, and then from there, luckily X-Wing, for those of you that don't know, X-Wing is a musician himself. So that was very helpful. And so he takes the 4 samples and he's like, this one right here.
Yeah, I think he was the first person I collaborated with, wasn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah,
that thing just hit right off the bat. There, you can always tell a skilled creator when somebody creates a piece of music, and when it hits you, it's like you already know it, and it brings out an emotion that you've already had in you for a long time. And the second I heard that, I'm like, yeah, that's the one. Yeah. That's the one.
I felt the same way though. There was something about it. It just felt right.
Yeah, it works.
And then once the cast is really honed in on the ones that they want, sometimes they have one that they want, but like Sharon, she had a couple. She was like, I can't really decide between this two. And so our lovely Sharon Grunwald, who plays the other half of our villain. And so she's very much tied to Ross in that sense.
She helped create that theme. She was as much a part of it as I was. The creating process, she told me what to do.
Yes.
Right.
And so that's really kind of like the whole process. This takes months, guys. Okay. And then Vince takes that and that little sample that X-Wing heard, right? And then he, a couple months later, he hears the full orchestral part to it.
I remember telling Vince, I was like, portions of this sound kind of tinny. I don't know. I feel like we could work up a portion of this. And instead of being like a total jerk, he's like, you know what? I think that's a good idea. Yeah, let's do this and that, which was always awesome because as a composer, you can just be like, shut up.
Just sit down.
He was like,
that helps me. I want more of that.
It was incredible. Yeah. And so it worked into this piece that now I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit. I have my own theme in Star Wars. I could cry at the thought of that. It is the most incredible thing. I had it because I was lucky enough. I got sent a file. I had it in my earphones for 3 days. I would wake up in the morning. I'd play it halfway through the day. I'd play it just constantly listening to it. And I feel like it helped develop the character.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolute music's so important. And I think that's in, and from that, when we get into the film score, when we actually go through the scenes and we actually kind of work to build that, because you take little instances of the original soundtrack. So it was very important for me to get Vitiate's done first, because I really wanted to kind of be able to draw from that, because we are kind of in the middle of we've started kind of building that legacy trailer that you guys will see towards the end of this year. And so that one's our first big full trailer, 2 minute whatever minutes trailer, and I wanted to be able to showcase that. And so we can
it's
pull
mean
that. It's so bad. Bad in a good way. It's so bad. It's
bad in the best way.
I mean, I want to say it's borderline rated R.
You want to talk about face like Ryan Johnson did? This is a Maria about face from the first trailer to the second.
Yeah,
You're gonna want to see it.
Absolutely.
I still haven't
love
seen it.
It doesn't exist
It
yet.
doesn't exist yet. The team's still putting it together. We have the storyboards. That's it. So.
Even from the storyboards, though, you can feel it.
It's coming.
You can feel it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of power in that trailer.
Oh my God! It's my great friend Garvey. Hi, Garvey. We're in video game industry together. Me and Garvey.
Nice.
What up, Garvey?
Garvey
God.
used to be. He is now much bigger than that, but he used to be a VP at Twitch. So, yes.
Nice.
Noise.
Hi, Mark.
Garvey, here's my phone number, and
Yeah, exactly, right? Yes. And so I do want to move us along a little bit. I do want to talk. I want to show you guys the teaser trailer, okay? Because some of you may not have seen it, but I want you to pay close attention to the words being said, but also the music. The music is so great. And, I want to give a shout out to my dear friend Tracy Trathan, who did the typography for our logo, created our logo. I want to, give her some shout outs. And to our animator, Valmari Marquez, who animated the logo for us and made it look that beautiful. So pay close attention. All right, guys, here we go.
I've seen this before. The prophecy continues.
In this generation's chosen one?
Two that are one.